What is up, everybody, and welcome back to TarHeelIllustrated.com. I'm Jacob Turner. He's THI publisher Andrew Jones. And AJ, we're here for another episode of This Week in the ACC, the Week 9 edition of This Week in the ACC. And we finally, feels like over the last couple of weeks, we haven't really had what felt like a full slate of games. Last couple of shows, we only had really 4 games to talk about because we obviously don't talk about the Carolina game in here. But I'm happy to say this week, AJ, 8 games total in the league. We even got a Thursday night matchup this week. And if you're not counting Carolina, 7 matchups total. Again, because we won't talk about that. We already did that in the UNC football show. But we finally got a full slate. It's good to see that. It's finally good that we've got a little bit more to talk about than the past couple of weeks. It's been a little bit, dry at times. Just haven't had a lot to talk about. For 4 games, you can't go in depth on those, but so much, you know what I mean?
Well, the night games last week were good. The problem with the ACC is, which the gang that can't shoot straight, why are all 3 of those at night? I mean, seriously. Virginia, Carolina should have been noon. Okay, Clemson at Miami should have been 3:30, and then Duke at Florida State at night. Have a full day of ACC football. No, let's put them all on at the same time.
It's almost as bad as scheduling a Carolina basketball game on the day of the ACC football championship game, isn't it, AJ?
Against the team that's all a school that's also going to make the ACC.
And I didn't want to bring it up.
For sure, not also that will for sure make the ACC championship.
And I didn't want to bring it up, but you made me bring it up. We said we'd never bring that up again, but I had to bring it up right there. I apologize.
We have to bring it up. We have to bring it up because Brett Friedlander would be disappointed us, and if we didn't bring it up.
Yeah. You're 100% right.
Because he loves it. He loves it.
Oh,
see, that's the bug on the ground of Friedlander can't stomp into the soil enough.
And I'm all here for it, man. Friedlander's a great follow on Twitter. I'll just put it that way. Go give him a follow if you guys haven't, because if you want somebody who's going to fire away and not hold back, Brett Friedlander's your guy. It's fantastic. Fantastic follow on X or Twitter, whatever the hell it's called.
Especially when he uses an Uzi.
Yeah, he's on it, man. He's on one. He's on one. But AJ, a good slate to talk about. We'll split these up as we always do. This show is sponsored by Underdog Fantasy. Big thank you to them. We'll talk about them a little bit later on in the show. We'll start with the first 4 games of the week. One of which, first game of the week, is Thursday night, like I mentioned earlier, Syracuse at Virginia Tech. I always like a Thursday night game in Lane Stadium. I think it's a great atmosphere. I know they've started to figure some stuff out, finally put the Baylor transfer quarterback in, and seem to be playing a little bit better football, particularly on offense, definitely winning some more games. So 7:30 p.m. kickoff in Lane Stadium should be a good one. Then starting with the Saturday slate, Florida State at Wake Forest, 4th-ranked Florida State, I should say. Should be a win for Florida State. You expect it, and we'll see what happens. But definitely a Wake Forest team that maybe can cause Florida State some troubles. But I think if you're smart, you're definitely expecting Florida State to win that one relatively comfortably. UConn at BC, that's another noon kickoff, and then the last slate, at least in the first 4, Clemson at NC State. Always an intriguing matchup for whatever reason when those 2 teams meet, and that'll be 2 p.m. kickoff. Obviously NC State coming off a bye week too, so does that play a factor? We shall see, AJ. But thoughts on those first 4 matchups in the league? Only 1 ranked team in there, in Florida State as well. So I will say this is probably maybe the least exciting part of the week, because there are some better matchups we'll talk about here in a few.
Yeah, I just brought it up ago. Yeah, that's right. Florida State at Wake. We're not going to talk much about Thursday because that's probably be going on when we put this out.
Yeah.
We usually put these out like Thursday night and
Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening.
Yeah, Syracuse, Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's program got on the map basically because of Thursday nights. They had some good teams in the early 80s, Bruce Smith days and stuff, but the Beamer ball era really kind of took center stage on Thursday nights. So I think they should play a Thursday night game every year. Problem is Thursday night games don't mean anything anymore.
No, they're not as fun as they used to be.
Usually the matchups, when you got Memphis playing on Thursday and garbage, they're not garbage, but still.
They used to have really good matchups on Thursdays. Yeah,
they don't have any Power 5 anymore. It used to be Power for nothing but. I remember watching great Thursday night. It used to be a big deal to be on Thursday night. But the
Carolina had some big ones back when I was younger. Yeah, some big Thursday.
Well, the NFL has screwed college football by having
Thursday
night games.
That's a good point.
And I'm at the point now where I don't like them. I like to cover them because that gives me Saturday to watch games, but I hate Friday night football. That is so stupid.
Yeah, that's high school football time, man. I don't want to watch. I don't even think about college football on Friday nights. I really don't.
Nah. The only time it makes sense is the first weekend of the season.
Yeah, that's fine. If you want to have a game.
I like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I like games 5 straight days. And and that's cool. But otherwise, not a big fan of Thursday. The Saturday games, you said Wake hosting FSU, right?
Yeah, Wake. Yeah, that's the first game.
Yeah, I think that's a dangerous game if you're FSU. Wake is not what we've seen Wake be. They have some issues at quarterback, but they did make a change and they got themselves a win. I just think anytime you go on the road and the chance for a letdown and a loss, I would imagine that Mike Norvell has told his team many times about what happened to Carolina at home, what almost happened to Washington at home. Texas needed to get a stop in the red zone to beat Houston. Look at what Oklahoma had to do with Central Florida. So I would think that is a message this week in Tallahassee. Would I be shocked if they lose to Wake Forest? No. Would I be surprised? Yeah, I guess. Or excuse me, shocked. I don't know how it goes. I'm messing myself up here. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be surprised. Be shocked. I don't know. Point is, I think it's possible, but I think it's highly unlikely because Wake Forest just doesn't have what it's had in the past few years. I'm looking at the schedule here too.
UConn at Boston College is the next one.
Hey, that's a great game for BC.
Good game for
UConn.
BC,
I thought UConn was a little bit better than they are because they had an uptick last year, but they stink. It's a great chance for BC to get to a fifth win. Who would have thought watching BC and Holy Cross that BC would get bowl eligible this year?
I know.
So this would be a fifth win. And Castellanos, I finally got a chance to see him play a decent amount the other day, and he's really impressive. He's a nice player. He throws a nice ball. He's really athletic. He's another guy you got to have you got to have all 22 eyeballs on him in some ways on defense. So I think BC should roll in that game. Did you also say?
Yeah, Clemson at State was the final one in this slate. Okay. Yeah. That's always a good, intriguing matchup. Seems like State always plays relatively well against Clemson. Well, obviously beat him a couple times too.
A year ago, the Textile Bowl was ESPN Game Day and ABC Primetime. This year, it's 2:00 on the CW.
Yeah, it's tough. Tough fall from grace right there.
Although I think that game should be on a different time. It's still going to be a great atmosphere. It's still a really important game because I think that there are two programs right now that desperately need a win. I think there are two coaching staffs that are reeling right now who are getting pummeled by their fans. State fans have been all over Doran.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe and I can understand to a degree because maybe you've seen the best. And if that's the best a program can do and you think it can do more, and I do think you can win, you could have one of those magical years at NC State. I thought Chuck Amato was going to do it when he was there. I thought Tom O'Brien could do it. I mean, they've had some good coaches. They've had some flare-ups. Doran's been fairly consistent, but I think they want to get over the hump. So who knows what's going to happen there. And Dabo's just getting clobbered.
I know, yeah.
Just getting clobbered. I mean, the last play on the 4th and goal the other night, okay, if that was the play call, it was stupid. If Klubnik made a mistake there, that's a problem. That's a coaching problem. Shouldn't make that mistake.
That's a weird program right now. Even his press conferences aren't great. It's just weird.
Well, he had the suicide comment.
Yeah, it's just like, and he seems like he's always in the news, not about that in his press conferences, but he's had some quotes in the past year or so, and it's just like, is he losing the plot a little bit over there? I don't know, man. It's interesting.
He looks different too. He looks like he's put on some weight and just. You're right. You call it a weird program. I think it is weird. He's going to have to embrace 2023.
Yeah.
Or this thing's going to keep going in the wrong direction.
Yeah. It feels like he hasn't really embraced the changes as much as he should have. Yeah. Yeah.
Because he's been leapfrogged by a program that has embraced it, and look at where they're going.
Exactly. You mean you're stupid if you don't. And I think you're seeing why it is stupid not to do with how much Clemson struggles. They have not looked like a very good football team for you. I think every week I kind of expect, well, they'll figure it out eventually. And they haven't. They just haven't been a very good football team this year.
I think this is the disappointment bowl in the ACC. I think these are two teams that have probably disappointed their fans the most in the league this year.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And gosh, someone's going to lose this game. Clemson got to have 4. I think Clemson does lose. I think you're going to have 4 conference losses. They still got to play Notre Dame. They still got to play Carolina. They still got to play South Carolina.
I know.
Could they miss a bowl?
They could.
Might it be best? And I say this, and this isn't a Clemson show, but it's an ACC show. And we talk about how things affect or excuse me, it's a UNC show. We talk about how things affect UNC, but if you're a Clemson fan, you sit back and take a long-term view. If they miss out on a bowl and the season ends at the end of November and they're done, and Dabo decides, I'm going to go portal, that gives them a chance to fully go portal without having to worry about preparing for the Pop-Tart Bowl.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe that, like cut the cord to what was before and have Dabo rebuild things in his own image, but a new and new, like dish laundry detergent, new and improved, new and improved Clemson. I don't know. Maybe I should ask my friend David Hood, who covers Clemson. I should ask him what he thinks about that.
Yeah, they're 4-3 right now, 5 games.
But I think State wins that game. I think it's a slugfest, low scoring. There'll be lots of punts, so and some turnovers. I just don't have a lot of faith in Clemson's offense right now.
No, and the flip side, I mean, you probably don't have a lot of faith in NC State's offense either. Really, as a team, they've been bad at times.
And honestly, I don't think the winner of that game really. I think it's probably better for Carolina State wins because at this point,
probably, yeah,
they're not going to get any more out of beating a 3-loss Clemson than a 4-loss Clemson on the road. But if they can, anything they could do for State to be bowl eligible when Carolina goes there makes that game look a little bit better at the end of the year from a national perspective. If the Tar Heels are still trying to affect their national perception, so the national perception of them. So I think it's probably better for them that State wins, and I think State will win.
Yeah,
and honestly, from a journalistic and curiosity factor, it'd be fascinating to see how things roll if Clemson loses again.
Oh God, would it ever be, man?
The curiosity glutton in me would kind of like to see that, just to see what happens.
Yeah, I've been enjoying the Dabo meltdowns. It's been good to see. It's been interesting.
I've got nothing again. I covered them a lot when he got there, like right after he got there.
Done a hell of a job, man.
When I was at Fox, and I spent a lot of time around him back in those days, and I enjoyed it. But at first, I wasn't sure it was going to work, and but then I started to understand why kids want to play for him. He's kind of got some of the stuff that Mac has, whereas very easy. At least he did then. Yeah. It seems like he's got an edge now that he used to not have.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good way to
And I guess losing will do that, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, he just seems like he's feeling the pressure a little bit, and obviously he's not used to losing either. I mean, good Lord, they've been so good for so long. I mean, he's not used to losing, and I think it's showing this year. It's like he almost doesn't know how to handle it. And it obviously not even in his press conference and stuff, but it's even like doesn't seem like anything's really changing either on the field. It's just a team that struggles every week. Offense isn't very good, not really trying new things at quarterback or anything. And defense has played pretty well, but they just really just seems like they can't score the football. So I don't know, but I agree. I think I'll throw a prediction in there too. I think State wins this one, but I am not super confident in saying that because as a caveat, I don't think State's a very good football team either. So if Clemson, I wouldn't be surprised if Clemson went in there and won that game either. But I'll stay with you, AJ. Let's say State gets a win there.
I'm going to go State 17, Clemson 15.
I like that.
By the way,
it's going to be low score.
Again, this is a Carolina-related show. We talk about these games and how it affects Carolina. Carolina needs Syracuse to win.
Yep.
They need FSU to win because if they play FSU, you want to play
just keep winning. Yeah.
And they don't play Wake. You want BC to win for the sake of the league.
Yeah.
And then you want State to win. I know the Carolina fans are going to hate me for this again. They hate me for the video the other night, and they're going to hate me for this. But you got to kind of want State. I think it actually balances out the back end of that schedule a little bit more. It makes it a little bit more intriguing.
Agreed. I completely agree with that. And that's why we do this show. We'll talk about the rest of the games here in a second and what they potentially mean for Carolina too. Before we do that, want to talk about Underdog Fantasy for a second because Tar Heel Illustrated is presented by Underdog Sports. And we see a lot of you have been downloading the app. Great to see. Make sure you continue to use that promo code HEAL. If you haven't already checked them out, be sure to do so. And it's super easy to use. You go on the app, go pick whether your favorite players have a higher or lower stat total than what is listed. AJ, I'm tired of talking about Taylor Swift, but I'm going to give you a Taylor Swift example right here. Let's say last game, she was all
taking my headphones off for a second.
Yeah, take it off for a second, man. I'm so tired of talking about her. But let's throw it back real quick. This past weekend, Taylor Swift in attendance at the Kansas City Chiefs game. Let's say you knew that going into it, right? Let's say you're betting on Travis Kelce. Say his number's set at 50 yards. And you know she's going to be in the house. So maybe you feel a little bit more confident he's going to go way higher than that number because, he's got his girl watching from the stands. Me and AJ spent an hour talking about that last week when I was giving this example. And you can do that with 2 to 5 different players and you're in business. And if you go 5 for 5, you can 20x your cash as well. So sign up today, promo code HEAL, links in the description below, deposit up it can be doubled up to $100. So why would you not use that promo code, guys? Visit underdogfantasy.com, find them in the App Store, use that promo code HEAL to get your first deposit doubled up to $100. A lot of fantasy companies out there, AJ, but we decided to partner with Underdog because it's the best place to play and it's the easiest place to play as well. So must be 18 plus and present in state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concern with your play, call 1-800-522-4700, or you can check them out at ncpgambling.org. Big thank you to Underdog Fantasy, Underdog Sports. Links in the description below, and make sure you use that promo code HEAL to get that deposit doubled up to $100. But AJ, we're moving on now.
I got to ask you something real fast.
Yeah, go ahead.
So if you're at a Chiefs game, do you look up to where you think she is just to get a glimpse?
If I'm in attendance there?
Yeah.
If I'm like a fan in the stadium?
Just if you're there for whatever reason.
Yeah, I would. I'd be a sheep and do it. I would just like everybody else in that stadium. I 100% would. You know, I mean, she's mega pop star, you know, one of the most famous people you'd ever see. If I'm with Carly, there's no way in hell I'm not looking up there because she's going to be staring at her the whole game. So, you know, I'd probably be more so like, what are you looking at? Oh, okay. Makes sense now. So depends who I'm with, but I think even if I'm there by myself, AJ, if I'm being honest, I'm probably looking up there. I mean, you probably look too, wouldn't you, AJ? I mean, come on.
Yeah. I think she's attractive, so I'd look. Right?
Yeah,
am I allowed to say that? I should. Well, you know, am I getting in trouble for saying that?
You're good. You won't get canceled. I think most people, probably some Swifties watching this. So if you said she was the opposite, then you'd have to watch out.
Jordan Kramer would give me the scowl if I said the opposite.
Never talk to you again, to be honest with you. If Carly,
we saw her when I went down to do the video with you the other night. We saw her in the photo area. I almost said something to her about Swift.
Should have next time because I think that'd be a very.
I just want to troll her about it. So
you just want to stir the pot a little bit, AJ. That's all you're trying.
Yeah, why not?
Might as well.
I don't think she watches our videos, but if she catches wind of this, next time
we'll know now. Sure. If she watches this one, maybe she's a diehard THI listener. AJ, you never know, man.
Local ABC 11 affiliate in Raleigh. Give her a follow. She's a good follow. She does a good job.
Yeah, she does.
She replaced Bridget Condon, who's at the NFL Network now. Bridget did a great job. She was one of my cronies too.
Oh yeah,
and Jordan's going to move on. Jordan will do good things. She's really good at what she does.
100%.
Shout out to Jordan Kramer.
Yeah, big Swiftie as well. So if there's any Swifties watching, just go give her a follow for sure. But AJ, moving on for the Taylor Swift talk, because I think last week we spent about 20 minutes talking about.
Yeah, and next week I use a different example.
Yeah, I'll have to think of a new one. Maybe I can relate it to Carolina in some kind of way. I don't know. I have to get creative with it. Underdog's team is a little bit more creative than I am, so I'll have to see if I can figure something out.
I wasn't sure if they wanted you to use that example.
No, man. That's the example. They're loving it, man. They're leaning into it.
Do a Sam Howell example next week.
Yeah, give me a Sam Howell example.
Sam Howell,
yeah, that's a good point, man. That's a good point. That's a heck of a point. I didn't think about that. Maybe I'll throw that out.
I'm a DC guy, so it's hard for me to call them Commanders. I just have a tough time.
Exactly. Just forget everything we said about Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift and bet higher if you think Sam Howell's gonna have a good game. Maybe his parents are in the building or something. Maybe his girlfriend's there, gonna play really well for her.
Isn't he? God, we're going down a trail. I just don't want to go. Wasn't he on Twitter for dating some well-known woman? Or
I think that was a rumor. Okay. I believe, because I know he has. We're talking personal life. I know he does have a girlfriend. I've seen her with him at games, and I can confirm she is not.
Is she the one he's had for a while?
Yes, believe so. Yes.
Okay, I'm not going to go any further with that because anyway, Dina knows what I'm thinking right now.
Yeah, we only see what we see. I mean,
you best not say it, Andrew.
And that is, you haven't done a Dina impression in a while, AJ. I'm glad to bring that back.
I could do the rest of the show as Dina if you want.
I think I'll pass.
I could go back and forth between Dina and Larry Fedora.
And that is a combo people would definitely not click off this video for, because man, what a contrast in accents right there. They would. Oh, you gotta love it. Shout out Dina King, man.
They've already turned it off now.
The real rock star of TarHeelIllustrated.com, by the way. Dina King.
Right,
we think we are, but just go look at how many followers
we have. The 3 non-conference games to hit on too, so let's dive into it.
Yeah, let's dive into it, man. Pittsburgh at Notre Dame next up on the slate at 3:30 p.m. kickoff. Expect Notre Dame to win that one. Pittsburgh, kind of an up and down team. I think more so down than up. Probably expecting Notre Dame winning that one relatively comfortably. 20th ranked Duke at 18th ranked Louisville. 3:30 p.m. kickoff in Cardinal Stadium. That's the ranked matchup, the only ranked matchup, at least between two ranked teams this weekend falls with those two teams. It comes down again to me. If Riley Leonard plays, I think Duke's got a great chance. If he doesn't, then I expect Louisville to win this game. I think for me, it's as simple as that. But even without him, Duke has still looked pretty good. So you never know what can happen. They're just not as good offensively as they can be. As obviously Riley Leonard is one of the best QBs in the league. Virginia at Miami, 3:30 p.m. kickoff, and then North Carolina at Georgia Tech. We're not going to talk about that one, but for whatever reason, that is the only night game on Saturday in the league. So AJ, congratulations, man, because you'll be going to bed probably at 8 p.m. the next day based on that. So let's talk about these.
I got to drive home from Atlanta.
So I'm saying, man, God knows when you'll get home. So thoughts on those matchups, AJ? Because again, couple really intriguing ones in there. And for me, that Duke and Louisville one stands out the most.
Yeah, I don't think Pitt. I think Pitt might be able to hang a little bit with Notre Dame if Notre Dame is not ready to play. If they're not ready to play, but no, they're not going to win that game.
No, I don't see them winning that.
No, they're not going to win that game. Duke at Louisville, I think, will be a really interesting game. The physicality of Duke and the finesse of Louisville. How about that?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Louisville's been they're more physical under Braum. Mm-hmm. I think Louisville home, especially with Leonard, I can't imagine him playing. The high ankle sprain just takes forever.
It's tough. It's tough. Back.
I'll give Louisville an edge in that one. Of course, for Carolina, it's best for Carolina if Pitt pulls off an upset. It's best for Carolina if Duke gets a win, because Duke will fall out of the rankings if they lose, especially if they lose by a couple touchdowns. And then you want Duke ranked when they come to Chapel Hill. They should 100%. Be. I mean, they're a good enough team. I mean, that defense is legit. Mm-hmm. And they're a polished team in a lot of ways. So you want the Duke to win. They'll come to Chapel Hill ranked. What was the other ones you mentioned?
Last one besides the North Carolina and Georgia Tech
Virginia,
matchup.
Miami.
Yeah, Virginia at Miami. That's an interesting one. Can Virginia maybe carry something into Miami? Maybe.
Well, yeah, they're playing the biggest head case program in the league. So Miami absolutely can do that. They're coming off a win over Clemson. Mm-hmm. They probably don't even know they're playing Virginia this week. I say that jokingly, obviously, but
of course,
I think it'd be kind of good for Carolina if Virginia went down there and won in a way, but at the same time, you need wins that register. And if Miami could just keep winning, then the win over Miami registers, especially considering the fact that they were thoroughly beating them for a good part of the game.
I know. You're 100% right. Yeah,
Virginia is Virginia. They have enough bad stuff on the resume. I think it's better for the league that Miami wins that game. Yeah. I think it's better ultimately for Carolina that Miami wins that game. So Miami, 35-21 would be enough. Get a win, move on next week. It'd be one of those games that people in January will forget was played.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're 100% right on that. Yeah, again, I think the most intriguing matchup for me this weekend, besides Riley Leonard probably not playing, is probably that game. But I am a little bit intrigued to see what Virginia can do. Was it just a fluke against Carolina?
I'm more intrigued by Miami.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm more intrigued by the psychosis that is Miami football. Yeah, there's some interesting the 3 non-conference games are pretty interesting too.
Yeah.
I think App can actually get a win this weekend.
Yeah, App State playing Southern Miss at home. Very winnable game, I think, in that one. South Carolina and Texas A&M, that game at A&M. So I think, A&M, not vintage A&M or really good A&M, but still, you probably expect, with the way South Carolina's playing this year, I think you're probably expecting A&M to win that game at home. But again, another opportunity for South Carolina to get a decent win. And then Minnesota coming off a win over Iowa. Some people talking, Iowa's pretty damn good team going into that one. So relatively impressive win over them, 12-10, which I think we joked last week was what the score was probably going to be. And you hit the nail.
Who called Iowa a pretty damn good team?
Yeah. I thought record wise they were doing pretty good this year.
Well,
6-1 going into that
West
game.
Sucks. The Big Ten West sucks.
I think Iowa
had 2 offensive yards in the second.
I was going to say, I think they've won a lot of games with defense because I think their offense is pretty damn bad. But
I think the great joke about them was that the defense kept them in games and they kept winning. They could get to the CFP and still fire the offensive coordinator, who's the head coach's son.
That's fantastic.
That's a good win for Minnesota. I saw the controversial punt return by Iowa. Look, you can't make those hand gestures like that. Mm-hmm. It looks like a fair catch. It may not be the best fair catch. You just can't do that. It's just common sense. I think they made the right call on that. So really good win for Minnesota, who's now 4-3, and they got Michigan State there this week. So they're going to move to 5-3, and they're going to look good in the standings. And Minnesota's going to get eligible. They're going to win 7 games, maybe 8 games.
Yeah.
They've got a good defense, and they're not very good offensively, but I think that they're better offensively than Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not too hard.
No, and they play Michigan State this weekend too, who's just in a lot of turmoil.
Well, they're just playing. They're playing out the season. Hoggard High School in Wilmington has a better offense than Iowa.
Of course, yeah. So interested to see if I think with Michigan State coming up with Minnesota, good opportunity for Minnesota to get another win. 2-5 Michigan State going to Minnesota. I think you can safely expect them to win that one. But again, you never know what's going to happen. So non-conference wise, some opportunities this weekend. You don't look at any of these games and say, well, they're not winning these. We were talking
App should win. App should win. Southern Miss is struggling. Southern Miss is a program that should be better than it is right now.
I think South Carolina's the toughest ask. I think Minnesota's got a good chance against Michigan State.
South Carolina's going to get pummeled.
Yeah, I just think they're in a weird spot too.
Look, we're already starting to see Shane Beaner memes on social media. We're going to see a lot more next week. Broke his foot last week, AJ. Well, there's also some dancing Beamer, some big guy dancing. He's got the Beamer face on there and stuff. So, look, he's very quickly the heat's getting turned up very quickly. They're not going to have a lot of patience down there.
And but South Carolina's an interesting fan base because they haven't really been good in football since Spurrier left. I mean, in terms of like longevity wise, but it's almost a program that like they expect to be like 10-2 every year. It's just I think they had one 10-win season ever until Lou Holtz got there. Yeah, it's just not like.
And then they had Hall of Famers Holtz and Spurrier, and they did well. They had some good teams, and but never could punch through. It's like North Carolina never was able to punch through that ceiling.
Yeah.
But South Carolina fans tend to fancy themselves as Alabama a little bit, and
it's a tough league to be in too.
But at the same time, I like that in them because they're passionate and they show up.
Yeah.
Passionate.
Great fan base.
And they just hope and want so badly to have one of those seasons, and it's not happening now. And Beamer's gotten defensive. Things have headed in the wrong direction quickly there.
Yeah.
And College Station, unless they can pull something. Well, what's funny there is if they win that game, then the whole world's going to dump on Jimbo again.
I know. Yeah. And even he's another guy you talk about just not been able, especially with the contract he's on down there. I mean, for what they're paying him, ain't getting much out of that. So
just an unlikable guy too.
Yeah. It gives me that vibe as well. I mean, I've heard some of his press conference interviews.
It's just other stuff too that, we've talked about that before.
We've talked about that. We'll keep that one off here.
I thought he was going to win on a ton wherever he would have gone. But
me too. He did a really good job at Florida State. But
so it's good for Carolina if all three of these teams win. I do think that Minnesota can end up helping Carolina in part because they have a chance to win some games in that league, and they're not terrible. They're well coached. So I can see them getting better and helping Carolina down the road. So the games that are played this weekend, Miami winning helps Carolina because you got to have wins. People say, oh, they beat those guys. You don't want to have a bunch of 6-6s on your schedule.
Yeah, no.
So Minnesota winning will help as well. Pitt at least being competitive on the road will help. It won't hurt. You don't want them going in there and losing 49-7. You want a Florida State to be 12-0 in the ACC championship game. It's best for the league. And the Clemson NC State one, I got to play them both back to back. But I just think, I think for the area where we are, a state winning is just good for the area. I wish the area was really good all the time because it'd make the local rivalries even better. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be tough to go to Death Valley, depending on what their pride they're going to play for. And State's going to have it, but if you can make it look like a bigger game, then I like that. So that's kind of where I think Carolina fans should be rooting this weekend.
Yeah, and even with Clemson struggling this year, I mean, they've been so good in the past 10 years, we'll say, that, even if you beat a Clemson team that's 500, it still has a lot of credence with the national media, even though it's not if you go to Death Valley and win, it's still a good win in a lot of people's eyes, regardless.
Well, they've lost their last few there, and I covered them. I covered their last win there, too. Mm-hmm. In 2001, they went there and beat them 38-3. Mm-hmm. In Death Valley. People were leaving in the third quarter.
Yeah, that was when Clemson was pretty.
That was John Bunning's first year. Yeah, Clemson wasn't very good, but they weren't completely awful.
Terrible,
that was one of the most thorough, well-rounded road wins I've ever covered for a North Carolina football team. They were great. Peppers, Vonnie Holiday? No, not Vonnie Holiday. Was it Vonnie Holiday? I'm trying to think, man. Will Chapman defensively on that team. They were just dominant. They had 7 sacks, I think, that game. So that was my first Holly Rowe experience that day too.
Oh, nice.
Since we're talking about stuff like that, I guess we kind of were. But that was when I met her. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. She's really good. Yeah. She was studying up before the game. Every time I see her, she's always prepared. She's always getting prepared. Always doing her. She's such a pro. Yeah. So that was a great win. That was Bunning's best win. He also beat Auburn in the bowl game that year.
Yeah, they had a good year that year.
Ronald Peach Bowl, Ronald Curry was MVP. I told you the story. I probably said it on here too much. People are saying, AJ, stop telling stories, but I'm old now. So all I do is tell stories in my life. So at midnight that year, 2001, Peach Bowl in Atlanta in the Old Dome, midnight, I'm in the hallway outside the locker room talking to Darian Durant. He's sitting down. For some reason, there was 2 chairs there. So we just sat in and we were talking. I got the little tape recorder here. And there's a clock. It didn't make noise. But those old school clocks that have like the metal things over it and it's a glass case. We look up, it's midnight, and Darian's like, Happy New Year. I'm like, Happy New Year. We just continued the interview. It's great.
Oh, that's funny. That's a good stories of
Bruce Young's all-time favorite, second all-time favorite Tar Heel is Darian Durant. His favorite all-time Tar Heel is famous Amos Lawrence.
Yeah, I love for Darian Durant. I was young when he was playing, and he was kind of the first. I don't know if superstar is the right word in terms of a Carolina perspective, but first really good player I remember part of that program, especially a time when they were struggling. But I remember when he left, good Lord, he had like every freaking record you could have there.
Well, that his last year, he led him to a bowl game. And
good quarterback.
He's constantly running for his life, and he was really good. He was a ball player. He was a competitor.
I wonder what he's up to nowadays. I don't see him at Carolina games.
He's a legend up there in Saskatchewan.
Oh yeah, is he still playing up there?
No. But he was the highest paid player in the CFL.
He was
for a
damn
while.
good.
He won some great cups. He's a legend up there. He's a legend.
I don't think I've seen him at a Carolina game in any time.
I think he was back a few years ago.
Maybe you're right. Yeah, because
he was back a few years ago.
That's why I asked. I was like, I remember he was really good in the Canadian Football League, but I haven't really heard much since he stopped playing. I was curious where he was at. Maybe he's living back here.
Yeah, he was a gamer, man. John Bunning loved him some Darian Durant.
He was good, man. Good player.
I remember I went out to dinner with John one time back in like 2013. It was in Wilmington, and we was telling stories, and he was telling a story about how. Well, I'll tell you what, if everybody on my roster was like Darian Durant, had his heart, I'd still be coaching there. He said, I wish defensive lineman would have had the heart of Darian Durant. If I could have made him 6'3", 300, we would have been great.
I love it, man. That's fantastic.
He loved him some Darian Durant.
There's always one guy that, as a former coach that that's your guy. And it sounds like for John Bunning, Darian Durant was his guy. But yeah, I mean, you could just go watch his tape, man. He, like I said, left Carolina with about every record you could as a quarterback. Fantastic guy. And somehow we've ended this show talking about Darian Durant. So I guess we've derailed another one, AJ. I guess not too derailed. It's still Carolina
football.
Still.
At least it's Carolina football. I'm sure there's some old timers that listen that would like to go down memory lane or whatever we call it. But this
man.
Because I do think one of the fun things about covering just one school now, because most people know I've covered a ton of schools and all the pro sports too, but just covering my 10th year just covering UNC. So I had a lot of UNC experience covering them a ton before I took this job. And it's kind of neat to start comparing eras. It's also neat that I'm now covering the sons of dudes I covered before.
Yeah, makes you feel old.
It's pretty wild stuff. Now I'm officially super old. I'm so old that a young reporter last week, there was something I told him that I see on Twitter every once in a while. I think it's funny that he thought it was hysterical. I knew what it was. Because we had the "you're him" thing after the Pittsburgh game.
Oh yeah, him. Yeah. You explained that one to you.
Yeah, and then there was something about on Twitter that he's like, I just can't see you laughing at that. Well, dude, I mean,
hey, come on, man.
I'm not that old. I'm not that old.
Good Lord, as much as you're on Twitter too with TH.
But I love looking back and comparing the eras because remember I've told you before the biggest loss in Carolina history was the first game I ever covered when they lost to UVA in '96. Well, Saturday night was pretty big, also UVA. So I can connect those two. The first and last UNC football game I ever covered in my life might be the two biggest losses in program history.
Maybe you just tap it out. Maybe you should just call it a day, AJ. End it like that. You know what I mean?
No,
Gotta
my
keep
wife
going.
would not have. She doesn't mind when I'm home and I'm in here because the doors are closed.
Yeah.
And it's like I tell them, I said, just think of me like I'm downtown on the 26th floor of the RBC building, whatever it's called. PNC building, I guess.
Yeah, PNC. Yeah. Yeah, I'm
so
sure she probably.
If I'm not working, if I quit and I'm not working, then she's going to want me to find a hobby real fast.
Yeah, you might get kicked out of there real quick, AJ. Have you be
like hiking?
Around
she would want me to do mountain climbing, so I'd go really far away for a long time.
Yeah, and just kind of like you'd be away a lot. Yeah, she'd love that. Yeah. Maybe
there'd be a chance. There'd be a chance I don't come back. Nobody ever. I'm a fossil 1,000 years later.
So what you're gonna say? What you're saying is you're just gonna keep doing this thing till you can't do it no more. It sounds like.
Till the Lord takes me.
Yeah.
What else am I gonna do? I got to pay the bills.
Yeah, exactly, man.
You don't get rich in it. You don't get rich in this business unless you end up on real TV.
Yeah. Usually it. Maybe.
And that's usually because you'll usually end up there because you're a clown.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was trying to think of a way to say that, what you just said in some kind of way. But yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Usually if you are getting paid, you don't have the greatest opinions or just arguing with people on ESPN back and forth for an hour. So, but that's besides the point.
Throw stuff at the wall and see what happens.
Not my type of content, but obviously somebody likes it because they're getting paid millions. So, AJ, we'll go ahead and get the heck out of here, man. Another ACC look ahead show this week in the ACC Week 9 edition. Make sure you like the video as always. And keep it locked to TarLillustrated.com. AJ will be down in Atlanta this weekend. Big game for the Tar Heels. And we'll have all your coverage from there. So, again, make sure you keep it locked. And if you want to sign up, $8.33 a month, links below. Become a premium subscriber. You can become a Carolina Insider, too. And it's a great time to do so with ACC basketball. I mean, I shouldn't say ACC basketball. Excuse me. I got the ACC basketball tip-off on my head right
because tip-off was Wednesday and the basketball season starts in a week and a half. So we're getting toward that as well.
Mm-hmm.
We've got – in fact, in my hotel in Atlanta on Friday, the whole day I'm spending just cranking out basketball stuff. But we are in the overlap with about 50 exclamation marks.
It comes at you fast, man. It really, really does. It creeps up on you and bang, it's there. And it is officially there. Well, ACC tip-off, we can say since ACC tip-off's already happened, I guess we can say it's officially here, right? I guess we can say that now.
Yeah, we're recording this beforehand because I have to go there. We usually record these on Wednesday, but it's Tuesday evening and I'm heading to Charlotte in about 2 hours. I got to get the rest of my steps in.
Yeah, man, get your steps in.
Get something to eat and head to shower.
Plus, I got to get a workout in too before I eat some dinner. Getting a little later over here. So, AJ, we'll go ahead and get out of here so we can go get our steps in.
I still need 6,000 steps.
Oof, you got that though. That's pretty. Wait, what is that? What is that? Maybe hour walk, maybe a little bit more.
Less than an hour, about 48, 50 minutes. About
hang it out,
minutes.
Man. I know you'll bang that out easy. That's no problem. At all, AJ. Yeah, but keep it locked, guys. Big thank you to Underdog Sports for sponsoring this show. Promo code HEAL to get your deposit doubled up to $100. Links in the description as always. Try to make it easy for you guys. But we appreciate you watching. Like, share, subscribe. Hit the notification bell too. See you on the next one. Thanks.